Hey everyone, Kristen here with MACkite, here to discuss with you the 2024 North Pulse. So first and foremost, we'll talk about the new logo. They are starting to roll it out in the 2024 collection. Now this is the North Sales logo that they are starting to incorporate into all their gear. Over the last couple of years, they've also been working on reducing the weight of their kites. So they have been reducing the amount of Dacron where it's not necessary, and also working on their in-house material, like the NMACs, which is a lighter, stiffer Dacron. Freestyle kites tend to take a beating and you want them to hold up. But these kites have still been reinforced. They have Kevlar reinforced in their strut system along the leading edge and the bladders. So while the kites are lighter, they're still sturdy and they still hold up. Other than that, I would say not a whole lot has changed with the Pulse this year. I took it out for the first time at our home spot in Muskegon. It was a north wind, and those winds tend to be a little bit gustier, more up and down. You can still ride upwind just fine, and you can still handle chop and gust pretty well. Now, for those of you who are not familiar with the Pulse and want to know a little bit more about it, the Pulse is North's Freestyle kite. Now, it's not a true sea kite, but it's their hybrid sea kite. It has characteristics of a sea kite while also having characteristics of a freeride kite. So you get some trade-offs between the two. So it has some of the good characteristics of the sea and some of the good characteristics of the freeride. Now the Pulse still loads and pops really well, and it does slack, but it won't slack as easily as a true sea kite. And the reason you want slack in the kite for freestyle is for doing handle passes and for landing easier without the kite pulling you downwind. Now you can slack the Pulse, it just won't be quite as easy as a sea kite. I've learned all of my freestyle tricks on the Pulse. I learned my back mobs and my S-bend to blind, so you still can progress. It has other characteristics that it's taken on from freeride kites that makes it a really fun kite to ride. For example, in choppy conditions, strong current, lots of up and downs in the wind, a kite like the Pulse is more manageable in those conditions. You can still ride upwind just fine, and you can still handle chop and gust pretty well. Freeride kites tend to be upwind machines, they'll just shoot you right upwind. Freestyle kites take a little bit more technique and a little bit more edge control to get upwind. The Pulse also has lighter bar pressure, and that's something that I personally like. It's personal preference. Another thing with the Pulse is you can adjust the bridle. So you'll see on the wingtips that they have bridle settings, and it's, I believe, three different knots that you can attach to. So if you have it attached to the outer knot, the kite will be a little bit less bar pressure and a little bit more responsive, a little bit faster. I personally like to have the attachment on the inside. So that is the most bar pressure, and it also tends to slow the kite down a little bit as well. So if I'm gonna do a freestyle session, I'll have it on the innermost knot. If you want to do kite loops instead, you could always change it to the outermost knot, and the kite will be a little bit faster, a little bit more responsive, and it'll have lighter bar pressure. Now the Pulse isn't just a freestyle kite, it's also a freeride kite as well, so that's why it's a hybrid sea. A few characteristics of a sea kite, but also some characteristics of a freeride kite. So when the wind is strong and it picks up and I no longer want to unhook or work on freestyle, I will work on freeride tricks. When there's a lot of wind and that kite is really powered up, it's a really fun kite to jump around on. Work on grabs, work on tricks, work on anything. It's not the loftiest kite, so when I have a lot of power, that kite will definitely pick me right up. But I also tend to come down a little bit faster compared to freeride kites or bigger kites. You know, I've ridden the Reach, I've ridden the Orbit, I've ridden several other brands' kites, and the Pulse doesn't have quite the hang time like other kites. But that doesn't mean I don't have a fun freeride session on the Pulses. And the Pulse is really great for hooked in freestyle tricks, meaning if you want to do tricks that require board techniques, the Pulse is a great kite for that. A kite like the Pulse is great for unhooked riding, and it's also good for hooked in freestyle tricks. All right, so I'm starting to lose some sunlight here, so I need to start wrapping this up. But to sum it up, the reason I like the Pulse is, for one, I do freestyle and park. Those are my main two disciplines. It excels at freestyle. With the park, I can, set the kite, park it there, ride at the kite. I'm in Hood River right now at the Hood River Park. But I do also really like it for, working on some kite loops from time to time and working on free ride. And if you're somebody who doesn't have perfect freestyle wind all the time, I've also taken the pulse in waves and on foil. Now, is it great in those conditions? Not compared to kites like the Carve or, the Code Zero, but it is still fun. It's not a kite that I'm gonna be miserable on in those sessions. If you have any questions or comments about the Pulse, drop it in the comments below, and hopefully you found this video helpful. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll catch you later.